Hello and welcome to your weekly Spirit of the Soul show. It's Power Coach Alicia here. Today we are talking about letting go of the weight that you carry. Be sure to throw down hashtag November in the comments. Hopefully I have all that set up correctly. And you'll get that. Actually, I think I can do it myself, can't I? Let me just make sure that this quick key is working. But anyways, hashtag November in the comments gets you the Let It Go guide and journal for this month. So make sure that you throw that down in the comments so that you can get that. I mean, usually it works, but maybe it won't because it's me. Oh my God. You guys, I did magnetic lashes today. Do they look okay? I don't know. It seems like way too much work for the level of beauty. I wanted ease of use so that I didn't have to fuck with mascara. But I don't know if that's ease of use. We'll see. I mean, I'm sure day one isn't a day to decide that. But yeah. Anyways, so we will see how this goes. The other thing that you're going to want to shout out in the comments is hashtag light. That will get you the Let It Go bundle. If you haven't downloaded this yet, if you haven't seen it yet, hashtag light will get you that free Let It Go bundle. Also, if you go to soulfirepodcast.com, again, that's soulfirepodcast.com, there is a weekly podcast episode being released at 9 a.m. Eastern. And we actually end the podcast. Our last podcast episode for the year will be on December 5th, or for the season, I should say, will be on December 5th. And then we'll launch season 4 right around my birthday in April. Now, in your guide, it has everything laid out for you where you can see what we're doing each week, what we're talking about each week, all of that good stuff. This is going to be a really, really, really powerful month as we go into the time of year where everything is crazy. You're being pulled in a million different directions. I forgot to share this. I'm all discombobulated today, but let me get this shared really quick. Get reset. If you are live with me, if you'll drop hashtag live party in the comments. If you're on replay, it's hashtag after party. My love. You know, I always think that's weird. Half the time videos are shareable, half the time they're not. The other half the time they're not shareable. I don't even understand this anymore. Maybe not. I wonder what I did differently. Hold on one second. If you're watching this on replay, just bear with me. It'll just be a couple of minutes maximum while I get this to work. You can stare at my weird, beautiful eyelashes while you wait. I'm not sure if they're weird or beautiful. So I'm waiting on you guys to tell me. Okay. Okay, here we go. Okay. Here we go. So weird how this one's set up. But I'm almost there. Almost done and shared. And then we are going to jump into our Let It Go series this month. And today we're really just talking about letting go of the weight that you carry. So that's what today is all about, is letting go of the weight that you carry. Okay. We're good to go. Get that closed. My computer might run a little bit better if all this shit isn't open. Oh, that's what I was going to tell you about your guide. So in your guide, you'll have 3 questions that go along with today's session for you to dive deep into this and actually do the application, the work, and get the foundation of what we're talking about here started and implemented into your life. So this week, we are talking about the fundamental difference between what serves you and what weighs you down. So you're going to learn to identify invisible burdens that you've been carrying, from outdated self-images to unspoken expectations. And yeah, we're just going to rock and roll throughout this session. It's going to be really, really, really awesome. I definitely hope that you will throw down in the comments as things come up for you. Again, remember, we have a guide that goes along with this. All you need to do is drop hashtag November in the comments, and then my bot Shaniqua will send that to you. Our 3 questions for today, I will do my best to remember to go over at the end. And then obviously we do, what did you love most about the session? And what is the one action that you are going to take? So number 1 is all about taking time to understand, okay? That's the first thing that we're going to talk about today, is taking time to understand. All right. Because if you don't know where these pressures come from, this weight comes from, like if you don't understand it, then there's no way to heal, clear it, and get out, quote unquote, from underneath it. Okay. So every relationship, belief, memory that you hold is either a bridge or a burden. So number 1 is, like I said, understanding, is it a bridge or a burden? Okay, because knowing this and the honest truth of this, not the, well, I mean, I think it is, or I feel like it is, because generally we're going to default to negative. I think that's something really important to note here, is that you're going to default to a negative. So most times you're going to feel like everything is a burden, everything is heavy, everything is moving you away from where it is that you want to be and what feels good and what feels connected. But when you dive deeper into it and you ask quality questions of, okay, is this a bridge to my healing, my growth, my lessons, my transformation? Or does this feel like a burden, heavy, something that I'm carrying? Because a lot of the times when it's a bridge, you can see at least a little bit of the positive and it happening for you and the lesson and where you need to heal. But if it's something that you are carrying of someone else's outside of your circle of control, which we'll talk about later this month in our Let It Go series, then it's going to feel more like a burden, unless you have it wired fucked up in your head where anything that is yours to hold and own and to focus on is a burden, and taking care of everyone else is a bridge. If you have that rewired and that's wired the wrong way, there's going to be some work that you need to do to undo that belief system, that definition, and that view. Okay. So one of the things to remember is that bridges propel you forward. Okay. Remember that. Bridges propel you forward. They also energize you. Okay. So when you're looking at bridges, I want you to be looking at, okay, does this propel me forward? Even if I'm not ready, even if I'm uncomfortable, even if I feel like, wow, this is really pushing me outside of my comfort zone. Is it propelling you? Is it leading you? Is it pulling you? Is it pushing you on its own for you to step forward into like a different light and a different energy? Okay. So if your answer is yes to that, then you know that it is a bridge because it propels you, it energizes you, it fills you up. It can be exciting, but I like to call it that pukey exciting. Like you feel a little nauseous with it because, oh my God, this is new and this is something I've never done. This is a huge risk, right? Let's see, deplete you and hold you back. So bridges propel you forward and energize you. And then burdens, they deplete you and they hold you back. So when you think of a burden, it feels like it's slowing you down. It feels constricting. If you think of a bridge, it's opening up. It feels like open. It feels expansive. It feels light and glowing, right? And a burden is going to feel restrictive, constrictive. It's going darker, inward, right? And so even if you're making a commitment to someone else and you're agreeing to something, you might find that, yeah, I really want to do this for so-and-so. I really want to be there for so-and-so. I really want to help so-and-so. And then you make this commitment and then it feels heavy and it's taking away your energy. It's confining you because you've made this commitment out of maybe obligation or love or the person that they are in your life because they're in your quality world. And then you look at yourself and how you feel about it and you go, you know what? I really don't feel connected to this. I really don't want to do this. I don't have the ability, the willingness, and or the capacity to do this. And I've made this commitment. It becomes a burden, even if it's someone that you love. So please understand that the difference between a burden and a bridge has nothing to do with whether or not it's someone in your quality world that you love to give to, that you want to help, your grandchildren, your partner, your kids, your friends, your family. It has nothing to do with that and everything to do with how you feel. Okay. So you're wanting to identify your bridges and identify your burdens. Remember, a bridge from yesterday can become today's burden. So what serves you before may not serve you now. What was exciting and served you at 25 might be weighing you down at 35 or 40. And so it's very important to note that your bridges from yesterday can become your burdens of today. I definitely want to throw that down because that is so powerful. Okay. Your bridges from yesterday can become your burdens of today. It's like, okay, it's like that whole saying, like, what got you here won't get you there, right? How you got here won't get you to where you actually want to be. You are going through stages of life. You are evolving, you are growing. And in order to do that, you have to step into that, right? I'm reminded of my life right now and my growth and my evolution and my track and where I'm going, how I'm feeling, all of those sorts of things. And I'm like deciphering my past and how I showed up and how it protected me and how it got me to where I was, not where I am, but where I was. And those operating systems, those bridges at the time are now the burdens in my soul, my relationships, and in my life. And however, those bridges and the way that I operated is a huge part of me and who I am and how I show up and all of the things. And now I'm like, that's not serving me anymore. That doesn't feel good. I don't feel connected to that. And I'm learning how to step into and be in flow and ease and, moving with the energy of letting those things go and stepping into where I'm meant to be and what feels right and what feels good. But the biggest challenge for me right now is that I don't know what that is. I don't know how to do that. I've never done that before as myself and really stepped into a different new energy like this, where those ways of operating, living, being, showing up were and still are so beautiful and powerful. However, there's a whole layer to that that no longer serves me. So I definitely do feel that energy of those bridges from yesterday are now becoming my burdens. They're becoming the things that I don't like and that I'm disconnected from and that aren't a part of the person that I want to be and show up as I move forward in my life. I feel like my midlife crisis for me is realizing that a lot of how I operated did a lot of damage while helping people in my quality world stay alive and learn to fight for life and to show up. Like there's a lot of beauty in the strength and how I showed up before, but it did do a lot of damage then and it has no purpose now. So it was a bridge then for sure. But now in the hindsight, it becomes a burden from the damage that was done that needs to be healed and then moving forward, operating differently. Now, if you don't know who I am, I'm Power Coach Alicia, soul healer, author, and speaker, and I specialize in helping you never apologize for who you are, how you feel, or what you need. So if you're ready to create a harmony in your life, really step into your power and show up for yourself, then you are absolutely in the right place. I have two main programs in how I teach you how to do this. And the first one is my soul alignment program, which is a very simple, hyper-focused program in learning to understand yourself, what serves you, what are your bridges, where your power, what doesn't serve you, what are your burdens, and what you really need to relinquish and let go of. I mean, my entire program is built around emotional intelligence, self-awareness, and emotional regulation, and really diving in, getting clear, understanding it, and then clearing it out. And I always say clean, clearing, releasing what no longer serves you, right? And that's what it is all about. Month after month, we talk about, self-awareness. We talk about boundaries and people pleasing. We're talking about your emotional wounds and traumas. All of this stuff happens inside of the soul alignment program. And then there is my Soul Shift membership, which is so powerful in helping you rekindle, recharge, rejuvenate, and really re-come back into you. Now, I always say that my Soul Shift Healing membership is a great maintenance program, and Soul Alignment is absolutely where you want to start. So you go through the Soul Alignment program, you get these foundations, you build this relationship, this power, this center, and this connectedness within yourself, and then you use the Soul Shift Healing membership as a maintenance to keep those things fine-tuned and dive a little bit deeper in some of the different areas while continuing to fine-tune that. So if you want to know more about the Soul Shift membership and Soul Alignment, if you just type hashtag November in the comments, my bot Shaniqua will not only send you the link to the guide, there will be a link there for the retreat that we did this last month, plus the Soul Shift Healing membership in your confirmation email. There's a little bit more about the Soul Alignment program as well. All right, so that is definitely what you want to throw down right now is hashtag November. Then from there, you're going to want to throw down hashtag light. If this is your first time here, I've got a free Let It Go bundle for you. And then number 3, you want to go to soulfirepodcast.com and subscribe on Spotify or Apple Podcasts or wherever you listen to podcasts every Thursday at 9 a.m. Eastern. Soulfire Podcast episode drops talking about real life, real shit, real raw. Number 2 is all about identifying outdated operating systems. And we kind of just went into this as I was explaining, as I'm really stepping into things and how I show up and how I do things and learning like, okay, that wasn't the best way to do it. That wasn't the best way to operate. That wasn't the best way to respond. That wasn't the best way to articulate. That wasn't the best way to express or listen. This is the energy that you need to bring. This is where you're missing things, right? So I'm really excited to dive into identifying outdated operating systems. Now, remember that the heaviest things are often invisible, okay? So a lot of time when we talk about the weight that we carry, you want to look outside yourself as things that you can literally see, people's circumstances and things that are causing that weight and causing that heaviness. But the truth is, most of the weight that you carry is coming from within you and the things that you're not seeing inside of you, not the situations, circumstances, people, and things that you are seeing outside of you. And so it's very, very, very important to look within at outdated self-images, right? So that's one, and unspoken expectations and dreams that no longer fit who you've become. So when you're looking at the heaviest things, I'm just going to put this out here. Let's talk about each of these. Outdated self-images, unspoken expectations, and dreams that no longer fit. Okay. So first and foremost is outdated self-images. All right. So this is like perfect. I made these notes like a week ago, and then I'm really going through like this huge transformation. It's not like a dark night of the soul. It's not sad and depressing. It's definitely extremely uncomfortable, disconnecting. And for me, it feels very overwhelming and confusing because I'm so sure of myself. I know where I'm going, how I feel, what I need. All of those things are something that is very like, I know, right? They're unequivocal. And now I'm in this space where, a chunk of things still feel that way, but there's a whole, I really feel like it's in my, love relationships and how I show up and where I want to be better and how I want to do better. Like that's where I'm being led right now in my evolution and transformation in my businesses. I feel like I've got a good hold for the most part on my processes and how I'm moving, how I show up, what I teach, how I deliver, all those different things, as a parent, I feel like that's pretty tight, but like this self-image of myself in a relationship is so outdated because I only have mastered being in relationships in my masculine energy and not in my feminine energy, and not in my energy of flow and ease and allow and love and warmth and connection and, that sort of thing. I've always been in and out of that, but now it's like, okay, my soul is calling for that to be the foundation and that to be the 80, where the masculinity is the 20, where I've always been, where the masculinity, I mean, even in my business life, mom, friends, where the masculinity has been the 80 and the femininity has been the 20. And so an outdated self-image is that I need to control everything and do everything and it's all mine and it's my job and I have to have all the answers and all the leading and all the steps and all the everything, and this goes this way and that goes that way, and if you don't do this way, it's going to fuck it up that way. And like I've always lived in that masculine energy of doing my best to stop the people in my quality world from making decisions or mistakes that's going to cause massive consequences that they don't want to have. And now I'm moving into this energy of femininity, of like, the quote that I continually bring up and that I'm really living by a lot lately is that you can't save the people you love from the consequences of their decisions. You cannot save the people that you love from the consequences of their decisions. And you know, the masculine energy is, you know, manipulating and controlling that and doing everything that they can to stop that from happening. And feminine energy, it's like, okay, you know, you express like, by taking those actions, this is going to be the consequence from that. I've been there, seen that, done that. You're going to do what you're going to do, but I'm just letting you know right now that that path that you're on is going to lead you to that. And if that does happen, it's not that I'm not going to be there. It's that you're not going to get from me what you're going to want from me at that time, because I'm doing my best to show up and give that to you now. It's like just being able to articulate that in such a peaceful energy while also relinquishing any control or attachment to them still going down that track and that happening. So my outdated self-image is, I know how to operate in masculine energy. I know how to show up. I know how to make money. I know how to be a mom, a partner, you know, a daughter, a friend in that energy day in and day out. But in feminine energy, I don't know how to do that day in and day out, because in my mind, it feels like everything's just going to fucking implode and fall apart. And, you know, ever like there's going to be disastrousness and feelings and, you know, pain and hurt and trauma and deep, like it feels like all of those things are going, it just opens the floodgates for that. And again, that's a definition, right? That's an outdated self-image, but that is also moving into that unspoken expectation that it's my job to show up and control and run and lead and do. That's an unspoken expectation. I auto show up like that. And the challenge with that is people around me are used to that. And so they still operate in that energy. So as I attempt to step into my femininity of just like backing up and just expressing what I need, what I want, what I expect, and then, you know, turning it over to them, there's this expectation from their side of like, well, if they fuck it up, I'm going to clean it up. If they don't know, I'm going to give the answers. If they are struggling, I'm going to make it easy. If, you know, something isn't working right, I'm going to make it work. And that's because in that masculine energy, that's what you do, right? But in feminine energy, it's like every person for themselves. Like, here's the idea, here's the information, here's the guide, here's, you know, that, you know, you're still giving that, but what you're doing is you're not following through with what's theirs to do and what's theirs to own. And so what happens is, and this is again an example for me in my life, is that these unspoken expectations, as I continue to do my best to, you know, put on the brakes and be like, hey, that's for you to figure out, that's for you to do, that's not an expectation of me anymore. I used to put them on myself, and now I'm still finding that it's hard for the people around me to really step into that. And so that can be really, really, really challenging. But I'm realizing that the most important thing of it all is to stand in this power, to stay in this power, and to know that that is my only job right now, is to really move and step into my feminine energy being that 80%, while the masculine is the 20, because I want the peace, I want the reprieve, I want the ease, I want the flow, I want how all of that feels. And you can't have that being in the masculine energy 80% of the time. Which brings us to dreams that no longer fit. It's like you had this idea of who you are and what you were going to be and where you were, you know, how it was going to show up. And this has more than likely changed throughout your life, right? Where different things happened. And so these dreams disappear while this one comes up, or this dream manifests when it, sometimes they run their course. And so you're shifting to this one. And sometimes it feels like that's not what I was supposed to do. That's not what I was meant to do. What do I do with that? You know, I don't want it to be that, or I didn't think it was going to be that. It was supposed to be this. It was supposed to go like this. It was supposed to feel like this. And the challenge with that is it's like, That dream fit at a time for you. So what does it look like now? That dream fit at a time for you, and it was able to be molded or succeeded or achieved or whatever at that time. It's like I built my business to a $500,000 business at a time that it was meant to be built like that, and me to learn those things and to do those things those ways and to show up those ways and to vote my time for my knowledge and those things. And then the hindsight of that has been every time I've attempted to redo that, right, and be there and rebuild that, it hasn't ever worked. It's like it was only meant for a moment in time. And because I couldn't let go of it because it no longer fit, I was making myself miserable and just in the moments it was so hard for me because that wasn't meant to be for me anymore. And when I let go of the dreams that no longer fit, the success of the business, because that was a dream that I had, was to be, do, and have anything that I want, and live that kind of life, and I had that. And although I still have the dream to be, do, and have anything I want, then I was willing to sacrifice anything to do that, just to have the security and the freedom that I craved. And now I'm not willing to do anything it takes. I'm not willing to sacrifice anything in order to get there. And so that idea doesn't fit. The way I got there doesn't fit. The business model, that dream doesn't fit. And so it was learning to let go of the outdatedness of the dreams and what that dream got me and what I achieved, and really just step into, where am I going now? What is best for me now? So be, doing, and having anything I want fits now, but I don't care as much about picking up and flying here and flying there, like Florida, United States. And now I'm like, okay, my be, do, and have looks a little different. I want to be in all inclusive resorts as every 2 to 3 months. I want to go to Paris again, and I want to go to England, and I want to go to Italy, and like I want to, actually to the UK, because I want to see more than that. Like there's so many things that I want to do and so many things that I want to experience from a different perspective. But also day in and day out, I want to have that freedom in my life, freedom in my energy, and security in my life and energy, and you know what I mean. And so it feels different. Like in this dream, it's in honor, value, honor, and respect and love of myself and my happiness and my peace and my quality of life. And before, it was at all costs. And so achieving it never felt as good as the things that I achieve now. Your outdated self image is like wearing clothes that don't fit, right? Or your outdated dreams that no longer fit is like that. And just because something once defined you doesn't mean it has to keep defining you. Okay, maybe that definition helped you at some point. Maybe that definition was powerful then. It doesn't mean that it was wrong or that it was bad, even if, fucked uppery came from it. But just because it once defined you, just because it was once your power, just because it once protected you, just because it was once your energy, just because it was once how you operated your life and who you were, it doesn't mean that it has to keep defining you, and it moves now. And in the negative, just because something wants to find you because it was a trauma, it was a demon, it was a pain, it was a burden, doesn't mean it has to keep defining you now. You can let go of that weight that you carry. And I want you to think of unspoken expectations like invisible contracts that you never agreed to sign. They shape your choices without your conscious permission. I love this. I love this. So we're going to drop this in too. Unspoken expectations are like invisible contracts that you never agreed to sign. They shape your choices without your conscious permission. So I have a big thing with this. It's like, you don't get to put something on me that you believe that I should have done, I should have acted, I should have shown up as. And because I made my own choices, you're mad at me that I didn't live up to your expectations. And I'm really, really staunch with this because I'm the type of person that I'm very open. I'm very honest. I really do share my feelings of what I need, what I'm willing to do, what I'm not willing to do. I share where I'm wrong, where I'm growing, what my weaknesses are, where I fucked up, like all of these things. So When you're going to put expectations on me, I'm expecting that those expectations are going to align with my personality because you know me. But if you're going to put expectations on me based on yourself, your agenda, it's going to be a very, very, very bumpy ride because I never agreed to that. Okay. And now you're trying to manipulate and control my choices. And I didn't give you my permission. Did I give you my word on that? Did we sit down and talk about that? Was this an agreement of a conversation that you and I decided? Or did you decide this and I must follow suit? And when I don't, you're going to punish me. And when I don't, there's going to be consequences because it's what you decided and you didn't take me not only my personality into account, but you didn't even have a conversation with me. Because if you would have had a conversation with me and you would have told me that those were your expectations of me, if they were something that I was never going to do, I never intended to do, I would have let you know that then, and then you would have had the opportunity to either make adjustments on your expectations based on my personality and me and how I show up, or to decide that those are expectations that you have and I'm not going to do that. Then what are you going to do with that information? But punishing me, manipulating me, and controlling me is not something that you get to do with that information. So remember that unspoken expectations are like invisible contracts you never agreed to sign, and 90% of the time they come from the outside in. Okay. But sometimes your subconscious, your ego bitch, as I call her, will speak up and, throw down these expectations of yourself that you also never agreed to because you were not actively paying attention to yourself. All right. So number 3 is all about how to set things down and let go. See, it's like most times when you think of acknowledgement, you think of if I acknowledge that, then it means I accept it. It doesn't. And I used to have that belief system as well. If I acknowledge that, then that means that I accept it. And I still have to remind myself this. And in the work that I'm doing, the layer of the work that I'm doing right now in my relationships, my love relationships, is like, I've always felt like acknowledging that I was wrong meant that I was accepting their behavior that they brought to the table from their side. So when they were wrong, I would just hold on to them being wrong because that's what needed to be talked about. That's what needed to be accepted. That's what needed to be understood. And as I continue to grow and evolve, I realize that I need to hold when I am wrong. And I can also hold when I'm wrong while not accepting their behavior. Okay. So you could acknowledge what something once meant to you while still accepting that it's time to set it down. You can also acknowledge something without accepting the other side of it, right? Okay. So you can acknowledge it while saying, this doesn't work for me. So you're doing the duality of both sides. Like, I'm wrong. I fucked up. I shouldn't have fill in the blank. Okay. And here's what I'm going to do about that. Also for me though, the way that this was handled, what you said, how you showed up, what you did, that doesn't work for me. I don't accept that. From my partners, this is what I accept. My partner does this. My partner who wants to live a life with me and build a life with me, this is how they show up because they're meeting me, right? We're doing this damn thing together. We're building, we're growing, we're learning together. This is how my partner shows up. And if you're not willing to do that, I completely understand. You've got to do whatever you've got to do for yourself. I'm just letting you know, I fucked up and I was wrong here, and this is what I'm going to do. However, I still don't accept this from you. And then on the flip side, you can acknowledge what something once meant while accepting that it's time to set it down, let it go, or move into a different mode of operation. So the power in there is like, listen, I realize that I would get mad at you when you let things go fast. I realized that would frustrate me because to me, I defined that as you not caring, and I wasn't willing to make that a different definition. So as time went on, I would get frustrated with that. That'd be a big deal for me. So you stop doing that. And now that I've grown, I've realized that I fucked up there. Okay. So I used to think that meant that you didn't care. right? I used to think that that meant this, but I'm letting that go because I realize that it actually means this. And I fucked up in working really hard to change that about you. Okay. So what I'm asking is this, and I know that it's going to take time, and I know that it's my bad, but we still got to stop that behavior. It's accepting that we've got to set it down, right? Accepting that we've got to let it go and now work together to put something back in place that we once had that I fucked up, you know? Ooh, wee. So our next piece of this, I love today's session. Next piece is gratitude and goodbye are not mutually exclusive. You can deeply appreciate a chapter while still closing the book. You don't have to keep it open. You don't have to keep connected to it. You don't have to keep giving it the energy. Okay? You can let it go. You can say, thank you for teaching me the lessons I needed to learn. I release you now. Thank you. Goodbye. So that is gratitude and letting it go and still closing the book and releasing it. Okay. The duality of that is so powerful. And when you learn to do both, then when you're letting someone or something go, it won't feel so painful. And it may not be actually literally letting the person go. It may be, hey, Misa, it may be letting go of an idea, an old operating system, a communication style, the way you used to do things. I mean, when Daniel and I started, we had a newborn, and then we went from that to having a newborn and a 3-year-old or 2-year-old, then da 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 da. And at the biggest points of me doing soul healing, learning soul healing, and evolving, we were rearing children the whole way. Now we have an almost 16 and almost 19-year-old, and it's okay. The way we ran the house, the way we operated, the way we did things, the way we showed up, da 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 da. Those things are starting to shift, and sometimes it's a little bit of fuckery, right? Things aren't really working out right. We've never fucking done this before, so we're doing our best, but we realize that I should say, I realize that there's going to be a lot more transition here. One, the 16-year-old needs to step the fuck up and do more around the house, right? Just because the one kid is grown doesn't mean the other one is relinquished of all responsibility, although he is. He doesn't have to do anything around here besides take care of the animals, which he still needs to do his job. But then that also means that I need to step up and fill in where my oldest isn't doing, because it isn't all Daniel's job in order to carry it all, right? And so it's about being grateful for the journey that we've had and the life that we've lived and how we established things and boundaries and established order in our house, so it wasn't psychotic and all in one person, and appreciating that chapter, and now it's closing. So we also need to step forward into, okay, what's the action that we are taking now? What does this look like now? How do we all, the three of us, come together here and now? Remember that the gift something it gave you stays even after you let the thing itself go. I think a lot of times, especially if it's a relationship that we're letting go, if it's a person that we're letting go, it's like you take away all the good too. Because generally when you're letting someone go, you're doing it because what they're bringing and what they're doing is not in alignment with what you want in your life anymore. So it feels hard and it feels heavy. And so you let go of the gifts as well. You let go of what you learn. You let go of the growth. Lately I've been thinking a lot about my childhood friend. I met her when we were, I can't remember if it was in 7th or 8th grade, but 14 years old. We are now 40, 26, 27 years later. And I constantly go through this cycle in my mind of our journey and how much I love her and the time we spent together and how alike we are. I will say or do something, and it will remind me of her tone of voice. It will remind me of her quirk. It will remind me of her personality. And then I laugh because it is my personality. We came up at a time together that was so impressionable in our lives and everything that we were going through, that we have a lot of the same quirks and little things that we do. And it's funny because I'll do it and I will hear her. And then when I hear her, I will all of a sudden be in this track of racing cars and dragging State Street and guys that we met and lying to her parents and like all of this crazy shit. And then it makes me miss her and it makes me want her to be back in my life. And I mean, I want to say that'll never happen, but I will say this because I don't know never, right? Always. I it's not time for that stage. I feel our entire lives, her and I have been on completely different maturity levels, which in my world happens a lot with pretty much every single fucking person that is in my quality world. I tend, and you're going to see me do a high low here, but this isn't me being better and them being lesser than. When I'm doing the high low here, this is the maturity level. My entire life, I've been at this level with the people that are my age and maturity, and they've been down here. So if I'm 10 years old, I operated like a 14, 15-year-old. At 20, it was 25, 30-year-old. You know, like every single step of the way, I've always been way more mature for my age, way more grounding, sound. I've always been the fucking voice of reason. Starting right around 10 years old is when I can peg it. I've always been that. You know, at 26 years old, I had been married and divorced, and how that entire thing went down was a fucking crazy nightmare. He left with my best friend, totaled my vehicle, and I found out that he was cheating on me because the insurance company told me that he totaled, you know, the vehicle has been totaled. That's how I found that out, right? That happened at 20 years old. Okay, so then he put me through this entire rigmarole, wouldn't give me a divorce, all this crazy shit at 20 years old, got rid of him. Then Daniel came back from war. And then I ended up with somebody, I was like an instant parent. He had a kid, which I had been part of his life since he was like before he was born and a baby. So this kid wasn't like popped up into my life, but it was like an instant family sort of thing, because when he came back from war, now we're all together. But then now you layer in him missing his military family that has been his family for, you know, at this point, I think 8 years or 7 years, and now they're not at war anymore. They're not living with each other day in and day out. It's like they went through a breakup, but they're still going to be friends, you know? And so that's hard, you know, 13 months in a war zone and all the fucking shit that he saw there. And so it was like at, you know, 20 and a half or 21 years old, now I'm assuming all of this trauma and these burdens and these demons and this pain from this person that I knew before he went to, I mean, oh, it was fucking nuts. And so by the time I was 26, I had a 1-year-old, a 3-year-old. I'd been married, divorced. I had a husband with PTSD where I ran our whole life and did everything and, you know, had the weight of the world on my shoulders and found my stepdad dead. Meanwhile, in all of that, buried my papa and almost lost my mom. So by the time I'm 26 years old, that's the life that most people have lived 60 years old. 50 years old. It's like I even told somebody that the other day, just that quick synopsis of, you know, the life I'd lived by the time I was 26. And she was like, whoa, that's a lot. Like, yeah, it's a fuck ton, right? So it's like, what's the gift that I got in the ex-husband? What's the gift that I got in the PTSD, the war, becoming an instant stepmom, you know, not being accepted by my in-laws, the ex-wife being a fucking nightmare? You know, what is the gift that I got in all of that, even though I let go of the people, even though I let go of the circumstances, even though I let go of the things? There were so many gifts along the way. And of course, so much damage and bullshit that, you know, came through it as well. But there were so many gifts along the way. And it's just remembering to put that into perspective. So now what I want you to do is go into your guide. All right. And when you look there, the very first question I have for you is, what beliefs about yourself still linger from 5 or 10 years ago that no longer reflect who you are today? List them and write who you actually are now besides each one. So in your workbook, I would do half the page. Oh, actually, I forget that we are in. I can actually fucking share now, right? Woo! So on the left side of this page, I would just list beliefs about yourself as shorthand as you can to just get, down the half. And then on the other side, who are you are now listed in shorthand. Even if you want to skip a line, always remember that if you are ready to, step into your power and align your soul, that you can book a free soul alignment session, no strings attached. If you choose to move forward in the soul alignment program or another one of my programs, great. If not, you're still going to walk away with a solid plan for your soul, where to focus on learning, healing, and growing to shift to the next level version of you. Then from there, you're going to name 3 expectations you're carrying that someone else placed on you. And for each one, ask yourself, is this truly aligned with my values, my desires, or am I carrying it out of obligation? Fuck yes. And the third question is, what part of your past are you grateful for, but now it's time to set it down? Describe what you learned from it and why you're ready to release it. Make sure you write what you loved most about this session and what your one action is as well. I love if you want to throw it down in the chat box as well, in the comments, for those of you guys that are watching this replay live on Facebook, or those are guys that are live with me. What did you love most about this session? And what is one action you are going to take from this session? It is very, very, very important on getting into action and moving. Remember, healing comes from movement and taking action in your life for yourself, by yourself, and also with other people. I am usually here right around 1:30 p.m. Eastern on Mondays. So I will be back here next Monday, right around the same time, and we are going to be talking about letting go of what protects you. And this is a huge one, because if it's a protection mechanism, it feels like I need to use this, I need to keep this here, or else I am not going to be protected. So in letting go of what protects you, we're going to talk about the art of forgiveness and the power of forgiveness, not as an excuse as to what happened, but as a path to your personal freedom. And it's often our most challenging and crucial work, because there is this dichotomy and this idea around forgiveness and what it means. So next week, I'll be providing you with the tools for releasing the past without denying its impact, and showing you how to reclaim the energy that you've been spending on old hurts. Remember to say yes to yourself more than you say yes to other people. It is always about progress, not perfection. And you must give yourself way more grace than you give everyone else, because the world needs who you were made to be. So show up every single fucking day as the badass you are, and slay. I'm Power Coach Alicia, and we'll see you next time. Bye.